All right, just hooked up with one casting a jig here. Just snap jigging a jig in plastic. This bait, or this fish, just crushed the bait. Oh yeah, nice walleye. There you go, nice eater size walleye. You can see what I'm using there is just a 1/4 ounce jig and a Berkeley ripple shad. Popping that along bottom. Nice fish here. Go ahead and get him back in the water. I'm going to show you here the technique that we're using to catch these walleyes jigging. So we're coming up along structure that we believe to be holding fish. So we cast our jig and plastic out. Then you just sit and wait for it to sink to the bottom, and depending on how deep it is, it might take a few seconds. Once you're on the bottom, then you're going to start hopping it back to you. And the most important thing to remember when fishing plastics is that you have to fish them a little bit differently than you would fish live bait. A lot of times live bait, you work real slow and easy along the bottom. That doesn't tend to work too well for plastics. A lot of times you have to pop them. That's what we call it, snap jigging, because we're snapping the jig pretty hard off the bottom. So as you can see here, I'm waiting until it hits the bottom, and then I'm snapping it up, and then I'm leaving my rod tip up and keeping my line caught, because normally the fish will strike as the jig is falling back to the bottom. So I pop it up, hold my rod tip, and wait for the jig to sink down, and if I feel a fish, I set the hook, and as soon as I feel it, or if I feel it hit the bottom, then I reel down and make another pop, and I just repeat that process all the way until the jig is back to the boat. All right, hooked up again here. Just popping my same green 1/4 ounce jig and a ripple shad. We're sitting in about 10-11 feet of water, just pitching on a shoreline here. Oh, there's a nice one. Now let's grab it. Oh, check that one out. It popped off in my hand there. It's a pretty nice, probably 21, 22 inch walleye there. Just absolutely beautiful color on the fish up here. I'm gonna go ahead and get this one back in the water right away. All right, I'd like to take a second to show you the equipment that we're using for this technique here. The rod I'm using is a 7' 6" medium light action Scheels tournament rod. The reason I like a long rod for this technique is because it allows you to cast your jig a long ways, and it also allows you to pick up any slack that gets in the line when you feel a bite and set the hook really hard, because a lot of the times the fish will bite when the jig is quite a ways away from the boat. So that longer rod allows you to put more power into your hook set. I'm just using a regular spinning reel. I'm spooling that rod with, or that reel with 15-pound fire line. I like to use fire line in this technique because of its no stretch. It allows you to feel bottom and feel bites really well out there. Then down on the business end here, I tied a small barrel swivel, then a 15-inch leader of 15-pound Vanish fluorocarbon, and then finally down to my jig. In this case, we're using a 1/4 ounce jig and a Berkeley ripple shad, but you could be using any size or any kind of plastic depending on the and the conditions that you're fishing in. All right, just hooked up with a dandy here. Just casted my jig right up to this rock point behind me here. Got bit almost instantly. Looks like a pretty solid fish. Oh yeah, that's real nice. Super fun catching them in this crystal clear water. All right, there's a nice one, probably 21, 22 inches. Man, he just thumped this jig. I love casting jigs in plastics. The strikes are usually explosive. This thing whacked it and just about ripped the rod out of my hand. All right, hooked up with another really solid feeling fish here right off the tip of this point. This fish just crushed the jig too. Ooh, that's a nice one. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to net this one. Oop. Nice. Check out that pig. That is an awesome fish right there. That one's probably 24, 25 inches, and he just inhaled my jig and plastic combo there. It's all the way down in his throat. That was fun. These fish are really just whacking these jigs. All right, that is a real nice fish there. Go ahead and get him back in the water. Yep. All right, I just released one that was 26 on my very next cast. Another one crushed it here. It feels just about as big. Oh yeah, that's another nice walleye there. Go ahead and net him. Not quite as big, but he's probably 23, 24 inches. Whoops. Wow, that is another nice fish there. You can see the jig. I'm using just a green 1/4 ounce and the Berkeley ripple shad. These big fish are just crushing it right off the edge of this rock bar here. Nice one. Whoa, popped out there. All right, there's another beauty. Just absolutely awesome coloration on these fish up here. Just crushing these jigs. This is awesome.
All right, so nice walleye here. So just casting this rattle wrap right along the shore here. The gold rattle wrap. We've actually been doing really well on the walleye up here in Canada. See that beauty there? Get him back.
All right, just hooked up with another one here. The fish are absolutely stacked up on this rocky point here. And they are just eating up these jigs and plastics. There's a nice little eater size there. He's probably about 17, 18 inches or so. Need a few of these too.
I just hooked up here, still throwing those rattle wraps. Nice walleye there. This is another nice walleye. Casting the rattle wrap up against the shore here. It's just a lot of fun throwing those.